Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced, and welcome to this third part of this video series where I'm going to be styling this. So what we're going to do is we're going to style this app. What I'm going to do is I'm going to style this app using styled components because, I don't know, I always find that kind of fun. So let's do that. Let's say styled npm install styled components. Okay, and essentially now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to, well, here we're going to be in our front end. So let me just clear all this out. And I'm going to create a file called styles. I mean, usually you'd put each one in like in a separate file, make a folder called styles, and then put a bunch of components in there. I'm just going to have one big component with all my styled components. So styles.js. Okay, but let's start taking a look at what we want to do here. Let me just see what I have running. Okay, my backend's not running, so let me run that. npm start. Okay, good. Connected to MongoDB, and that's all running good. Okay, and there's my backend. There's my front end, I mean. Okay, so right now we're on, let me just make sure we're on the main page. Yep, we're on the main page. So what I want to do is, first thing I want to do is just get this top piece going. So that's all going to, I want to put an H1 here. H1, the cheese app. Okay, let's just surround this with a fragment. Okay, save that. Let's just see how that looks. Okay, and let me just do this. Now let's see here. First I want to make that H1 a little bit prettier, so let's make a styled H1. So first style we'll do is in H1. So I'm going to head over to my styles file. I'm going to import styled. Okay. And I think it's import styled from styled components. Did I not install styled components? I think I installed it in the wrong spot. I think I accidentally installed it in my backend. So Control C, npm install styled components. Oops, Control X. It's with a dash in the middle. Okay, so let's try that now. Import styled. Import styled from styled components. Do I have styled components now? Good. Okay, first we'll try it as a default export. Not 100% sure if it's a default export, but we'll find out. Okay, and then export const heading equals styled dot h1, and then we put in backticks because we're using template literals, so it's a feature where you can actually pass a string to a function. So technically h1 is a function, but when you put backticks after a function's name, it handles that function in a very unique way. I have other videos where I go over styled literals, or I mean not styled literals, template literals, and what you can do with them and what happens when you do that. But this is like what's called a tagged template literal. So you're tagging it with a function. But essentially this is just going to end up creating a styled component. So what I want this is to text align center. I want to, let's say, let's give it a border of 3 pixels, solid brown. Okay, let's give it some padding of 3 pixels. Okay, and let's just start with that. So let me go head over to app, and I'm going to import this component. So I'm going to import heading, and then we will replace this h1 with heading because it's a styled h1. So instead of using the h1 tag, I use the styled component, and it broke. Let's see what happened there. Oh, I just never ran the server. That's why. You can tell it's the Friday before Christmas Eve because I am, making lots of mistakes today. But you can see it's styled. Yay. Okay. Nice. So far looking better. Okay. Now what we can do, okay, is now I want to style those inputs. What I'm going to do is I am going to use normal CSS for the inputs because I do not want to replace those tags. I can, thinking about it. Yeah, I'll just style the input tags themselves. So I'm going to say, hey, any input tag, I want them to have a padding of 6 pixels. 6 pixels. Okay, so see that makes them a little bit bigger. I want the border to be none. I like them without a border. Okay, and then I like the background color. Let's make the background color brown with white text. So color white. Okay, let's give it like, let's make the font size like 1.2 EM, so it's a little bit bigger than default font size. Good. And let's round those corners. So border radius, we'll say 50%. Well, that's too much. 20. That's funky looking. Let's try 10. Yeah, that'll work. What if I do like 90? 25. Oops, 50%. Okay, I guess that'll work. Okay, but you can see here we can write like, cheese. And that just looks a little bit better. Not super fancy, but, I don't want to, we're not going to spend like a whole half hour just doing lots of like border shading and whatnot. Point is just to show you that you can style these things. Okay, there's certain things you can't really style, like checkboxes, unfortunately. That's why sometimes people will like use different things to kind of set a normal checkbox. Well, let's just see if what we can do. Can you style a checkbox? Let's see here. Because technically it is an input, but none of my styling is applying. So I'm curious, can we style a checkbox? I know you have trouble styling like the file. There's the file upload input, which you can't style the actual upload button, but you can style the rest of it, which is just silly. Styling checkbox. CSS. Put checkbox. Taking a look at what this style they're doing here. Okay, type checkmark, class checkmark. So it looks like what they're doing is they're doing what people do with the download button, where they hide this so that way the input still exists. But what you do is you interact with this other thing. And when you interact with that other thing, it changes the value of this. So that way you see this, which is just, I don't know why they don't just improve the HTML spec so that way you can style your inputs better. But yeah. Okay, opacity 0. Okay, so see you're hiding the default checkbox. So it's kind of like the download or the file upload input, where basically you can't really truly style it. So now we know. Okay, so that can't get styled. And I noticed the submit button didn't, but it's because I used a button tag. So we should style a button tag. But what I can do is I can just apply the same styling by just going button. And there we go. Okay, I'm still not quite happy with the way that looks, but we'll let that go for the moment. Cool. And basically what I want to do is I want to do a transition, which means it's going to get like a little bit of an animation. So we'll say like for the background color, we'll make it 0.3 seconds. And color, 0.3 seconds. And then this is only going to apply to the button because I'm going to do a button hover styling, where if the button is hovered, what's going to happen is the color will become brown, so the font color, and the background color becomes white. Okay, well, there should be a semicolon there. Okay. Okay, although that doesn't seem like it's transitioning, so something. Oh, because I put 0.323 seconds. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Now see you're seeing that little like more smooth effect. Okay. Nice. Okay. Okay, so if I delete this cheese, takes me back to the main page. I'll create a new cheese. We'll create brie. Okay, there we go. So there's our new cheese. Okay. Now let's see. Let's create a few cheeses. Munster. Um, Gouda. Okay, and see that like they're all like stacking on top of each other. We kind of maybe want a card type effect. So let's work on doing that. Okay. So I'm gonna make a few components for that. So I'm gonna head over to styles. I'm gonna create a container component like a flexbox. So I'm gonna export const flex equals a styled, let's say div. It doesn't really matter. Some sort of container block element. Okay, which is gonna have a flex, a display of flex, a flex wrap of wrap. I'm going to say justify content space around. Okay, and that should particularly do, let's also just say like width is like 80%, but that means we want to center the container, so margin needs to be auto. Okay, so there's our flex box. And then we want the items in the flex box to be the cards. So we're going to say card export const card equals a styled div. Okay, and now this card should have a width of 30%. Okay, we'll say a minimum width of 200 pixels, so it won't get any smaller than that. We'll have a border of 3 pixels solid green. Okay, and let's start with that. So let's bring that into where the cards would be, or so that'd probably be on the index page. Okay, so the idea is we need to first import those. So import flex, and then I'm also going to want card. Okay, so the idea is that here's where we're generating all those individual cheeses. So I want that to all be in my flex. Oh, nope, there we go. I'm going to wrap those in my flex container. Okay, so that way all the array of cheeses, so see right there, they're already starting to be laid out horizontally, but these don't really look like cards yet. But hey, I got them horizontal now because they're all in the container. But now I want to make each one of those, instead of making this a div, we're going to make this our card component. Okay, so now, see each of them are in that card. Okay, now what you see here, there's like this little like touching area here, so we want to fix that. So I'm going to head back to styles. Let me just save this so that way it just formats it a little bit nicer. It's easier to read. Okay, so again, you see I'm doing the mapping in the flex. So that way there's only one flex box with a bunch of cards in the flex box. Okay, but again, I want to fix this touching here. So I'm gonna head over to styles, and I'm going to improve the margin. So we're gonna say like, actually what I want is padding. Oh no, I wanted margin because I want to separate it from the other elements. So it's 10 pixels auto. That should give it a little bit padding. Good. That put in some space. Okay, and then again, I can keep adding more cheeses. So we can say provolone. Okay. Uh, Harvadi. Swiss. Okay, and again, it keeps adding them and they keep wrapping because, you know, we set it up that way. But again, now now they're touching here. That's not what we want. Okay, so in that case, we should give the cards some margin. Okay, so we'll say margin. I mean, the margin left and right's fine. So we really just want to define the margin up and top and bottom. We'll leave the left and right auto. Okay, and see that's looking better. Okay. And maybe we want to give a little symbol so that way you know which one you're hovering over. So we can do something like this. Actually, how would you do a hover effect in styled components? I haven't done that before. So let's take a look. Styled components, hover. Okay, let's look for an example with a hover. Style div. Okay, so here's how you would do it. So you see you do like at hover, and then you can do that. Okay, so cool. So let's do the card. We're going to give it a transition. Again, we're going to say the border will transition over 0.3 seconds. That number always works out for me. And then we're going to say, hey, whenever this thing hovers, okay, whenever you hover over this thing, what's going to happen is, actually, how did they write that again? Okay, yep. So this goes there, and then this goes here. And then we're going to say, hey, when you hover over the thing, the border is going to become 6 pixels solid green, red. So it's going to transition to red, and it's going to get bigger. So it's going to be like, noticeable thing. So let's go here. Now if I hover over them, see they become 6 pixels red. So you see like that little kind of hover effect, making it nicer when you hover over the different things. Good. And again, if I put this in mobile mode, because of the way I set up the flex boxes, see they're going to wrap nicely into a column. So like I don't have to really set up any media queries because I kind of set it up. That's what I like about one column layouts. They're really easy to get responsive versus like having a 2-column layout on desktop and then a 1-column layout. Right, and then plus flexboxes makes responsiveness so easy because everything is nice and wraps. But yeah, so this gives you an idea of some of the things you can do. I mean, there's lots of things I can do to make this a lot prettier, but they just to show you some like the basic low-hanging fruit. So now I can click on a thing. Like this still looks pretty ugly, so we should probably work on that actually. So let's make these inputs look a little bit cleaner. So one way I would do that is let's go back to the styles because I styled those in the CSS over here. I'm also going to make these display block so that way they don't all show up on the same line. So all my inputs and buttons are going to display block. Okay, but see now that puts them all flush to the right. Not necessarily what I want. Okay, so how do I center those? Well, I can set margin auto should center it. Okay, and then there you go. They're centered, but again, they're still all kind of like really nestled up against each other. So I want to give them some top-bottom margin, so we'll do 10 pixels auto again. Okay, so that gave them some room to breathe. Okay, cool. Now again, we want to maybe make this a little bit nicer. So let's go back and take a look at our show component. And again, right now it's just an H1 and H2, so I can use the heading. Probably not use the heading there. Actually, let's use the heading there. Import heading, and we'll use the heading for the H1. Okay. But let's make the section a little bit more narrow. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to inline style the section since I'm here. So I'll just say style, so that way you can see me do a little bit of everything. Style, and then I want to set the width of this to 80%. Let's make it 70%. Okay, and then I want the margin to be auto. So that centers it. So that gives it a little bit more of a nicer hierarchical effect. So basically it's like, you want things that kind of look like, hey, this is the title, and then it's getting smaller, and you get that nice visual hierarchy. Okay, And then let's do something with the H2, or that's actually fine. Monster, not tasty. Again, still a fairly ugly application. You could, you could spend hours trying to get styling just right and looking for inspiration to get a particular look. But the idea is to kind of show you some of the common like centering, how they get like the card layout kind of generally set up and things like that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. My name is Alex Merced from AlexMercedCoder.dev. Have a great day and enjoy.